Hey, welcome to the Backyard Professor Live Show. We are coming at you hard and heavy at 6 o'clock, Sunday, July the 6th. How's everybody doing? Hope you're all good. Let me get to the comment section here real quick. Looks like Mid-Ohio Valley Unexplained Phenomenon is here. Tim Rathbone, Apollo AI. How are we all? Jay Kirshenman, welcome. Tim, how you doing? The Cynical Banana, I love your handle, Cynical. Star Tamer, woo, hey, that's a good handle. Star Tamer, you are an important one. I'll tell you what, that's what we're going to try to do tonight is tame the stars for sure. Actually, we're going to try to tame space. I've got some interesting ideas for you that I think are really very interesting. Kind of, hey, La Hope. Charles Taylor, how you doing? Chrissy from London, England, welcome. Hey, I've been exploring this last week or so. Hope everybody had a good 4th of July. Yeah, I bought a 5th on the 3rd for the 4th, and yeah, water. I bought a 5th of gallon of water. Since I don't drink. Although people keep saying I look like I'm a raving drunk because of my red nose. So, yeah, I don't know. That must be my English heritage or something. Sometimes my nose really drives me crazy. It looks worse than Rudolph, but that's neither here nor there for tonight's show. I have some interesting ideas. First, I have some new photos, new to me. Now, you guys are probably, Lahopi, thank you very kindly. Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you for all your support. And say, hey, Eric Red, BYU in front of the veil. Yes, I'm going to try to go through it here shortly. I've got some new pictures for me that I run across in researching tonight. And I thought, man, I'm going to share this. So let me get the share screen. Oh, I had it on. Let me get the share screen. Yeah. I think you guys are going to like this. If you haven't seen it, you're in for a real treat. Okay, hold on. Boy. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Okay, there it is. Have you seen that before? No, I'm just kidding. I know you've seen that. I look uncomfortable in a suit? Oh my gosh. Well, I'm not uncomfortable, actually. It's really cool down here in the basement, but it's all good. Check this out. They say these are pictures from Area 51. The Roswell Army Air Force, Officer Walter Hout in Roswell, New Mexico, issued a press release stating that personnel from the field's 509th Bomb Group had recovered a crashed flying disc from a ranch near Roswell. And he showed these pictures. And here's another. Well, there's a blank. They censored us there. But here's another one. Now, they did say that they found some dead alien bodies. Now, I have no idea how to verify these or whatever, but I thought, man, that's probably the most interesting, realistic thing I've seen so far. Although where they got all the gurneys from in Area 51, I don't know. It looks like it's a funeral home, right? So how did Area 51 know how to have all those gurneys? So, things like that come up in your mind, but here's another one that's censored that they aren't going to let us look at. And then here is one. These photos, they say, were leaked. Here's one of some guys in front of a tent that looks like there's a flying disc, a saucer that they're looking at. It's not really huge. It's like a Volkswagen Bug, except skinnier. But I thought that was kind of interesting. Kind of cool to see. And then there's a close-up of the feet, 3 toes, a big toe and 2 other ones. That's kind of, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? There's some good detail view of the alien feet. And then this is a memo, and then there is one of the discs that apparently crashed there in New Mexico. So I think that's quite a group of pictures. I had never run across these all together with the related theme of Roswell and Area 51. So that's kind of fun. Thought I'd start off the show with a real whiz bang and show you those. Let you see what you think. Yeah, well, those aren't sexy feet. Oh, yeah, I haven't either, Cynical Banana. Oh, yeah, no, you're good, Gazer. No, it's all good. I don't take your comment personally. No, I like it. It's all good. We're all friends here, so not a worry. Sometimes I will wear a suit, coat, and I might even take it off later tonight. But yeah, it's all good. So that's a good way to start the show, is give you some new, interesting. Oh, hey, Evitable, thank you. I appreciate you too. I do, and I will. Entertainment Extreme Network says I need to come to New Mexico. You're on. I'd love to come to New Mexico, please. Yeah, let's make that happen. Let's arrange that. I can arrange that. So, hey, Plasma State, good to see you. Good morning to you too. Eric Red. Yeah, I don't have anything on King Solomon tonight, other than he did indulge in very interesting herbology, believe it or not. That's the keys of Solomon. He was a very wise man when it came to herbs and potentially important hallucinatory mushrooms, according to Carl Ruck in his research that I've got back here. Yeah, that might make an interesting video. Okay. Hey, Gen X Jammin'. Hello. All right. Let me share something else here that I think is quite interesting. I've got a couple of different ideas that I'll share with you tonight. That there's the photos. Oh, I'll do that in a minute. So maybe, yeah, this one's interesting. I'm going to go with this one for the moment. But let's do this one. Here we go. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'll just leave myself on that. I'm going to read this to you, though. That way you can see what I'm reading. Are the aliens us? They may be piloted by time-traveling humans. Now, see, even that is extraordinary. Time traveling. Maybe in the future, we learn how to time travel. There are some discussion now that the military already does know how to time travel. We've already acquired that skill, but they're keeping it from us. It's a good thing because we go back and make sure that they wouldn't keep anything secret from us, huh? This is a discussion of a recent book. Now, I don't have this book, but I am determined to get it. UFOs have captured the public attention for decades. As exoplanet detective is on the rise, why not consider that star-hopping visitors from afar might be buzzing through our friendly skies by taking an interstellar off-ramp to Earth? I like how that's said. An off-ramp to Earth. Flying through space and, oh, there it is. This is exit 219. Boom, zip off here and stop at Earth. So, could those UFOs be us, though? This is really interesting. We're returning from the future to study our own evolutionary past. Maybe it's a college project for these aliens on their home planet. Some of the college kids are on a study project and they're studying history. They're trying to get their PhD in history, and they've mastered time travel. So they're coming back here to see what really happened in the century that we invented nuclear weapons. You know, that might make an interesting project for the 100 years after we make the nuclear weapons. What did we do? Who knows? That's kind of interesting to think about, though. Now, this is the book, Identifying Flying Objects a multidisciplinary scientific approach to the UFO phenomenon. Michael Masters wrote the book. He's a professor of biological anthropology, Montana Technical University in Butte, Montana. He thinks that because we are changing so fast in our science and technology, our engineering is going blitzoid, you know, it's likely that in the distant future we could develop the knowledge and machinery necessary to return to the past. There are a lot of issues with time travel, and I need to do a little bit more information. Now that I'm jumping on this a little bit, I've got lots and lots of stuff down here in my books on time travel and faster than light travel and all that jazz. To master time travel, the bottom line is you have to master gravity. And that's why this theme of anti-gravity propulsion systems shows up so often. And when the Tedescos come back on, we will be talking about that. They have been analyzing that as well. And they've got some really interesting, from an engineering perspective, they've got some fascinating stuff on the anti-gravity materials that could potentially be had by UFOs. Master says, I took a multidisciplinary approach in order to try and understand this weird phenomenon. Our job as scientists, now, and this is, in a way, we need to get back to this. Our job as scientists is to be asking big questions and try to find answers to unknown questions, not be gatekeepers and make sure everybody in science thinks alike. That's the problem with the current group of scientists right now. I mean, it appears to me. They would rather bat down anyone else's ideas if they go outside of the parameters of what they think reality is. That's not science. That's dogma. See, even our own scientists have fallen to sleep at the wheel. Our job is to ask the big questions and try to find answers to unknown questions. We need to remind the scientific establishment of this. There's something going on here, and we should be having a conversation about this. This is why we stopped reading the establishment scientific books and we're coming to YouTube instead, because it's on YouTube that we're discussing everything, right? I mean, that's what we're doing. We should be at the forefront of trying to find out what it is, not making fun of everybody for talking about UFOs and aliens. No, forget that noise. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I used to respect you, but lately you've become a real jerk. And it doesn't have to be that way, but quit poo-pooing everybody and jump on this and work through it with us. You know, he's just got such a linear, narrow-minded viewpoint that's just asinine. So anyway, yeah. Human evolution, dubbing these purported visitors extraterrestrials, Masters notes that close encounter accounts typically describe the UFO tenants as, and here's the description of those who claim they've had a visitation. They say they're bipedal, hairless, human-like beings with large brains, large eyes, small noses, and small mouths. Now, this is a pretty steady, consistent description. Well, we don't look like that, therefore these guys are making it up. Why don't you go back to watching your stupid soap operas then on television? The rest of us are going to work through this, I mean, society itself has gotten so closed-minded, it's kind of astonishing. The creatures are often said to have the ability to communicate with it. Now, this is weird. Think about this. Presumably, if they came from, Zeta Reticuli, let's say. Let's pick Zeta Reticuli. They communicate with us in their own language. Now, don't you find that remarkable? How in the hell did they learn English if they just got here? You notice the assumption? Oh, well, that's ridiculous. That proves the story is false. You can't learn English that fast. You can fly all the way across space, but you don't think they can learn English that fast? Let me ask you a question. What makes you think that they only just barely showed up? How long does it take a human child to learn English? By age 6, you're pretty much able to communicate pretty much across the spectrum about all of your basic needs, wants, desires, hopes, likes, dislikes, etc., just by age 6. So what makes you think they haven't been here for hundreds, if not thousands of years, when actually some of the accounts say that's what they say to the humans that they visit? So you see what I mean? But that is interesting that they can communicate with us. And of course, their technology is beyond ours. So it is through, and this is the approach. See, this is what we need. This is what we desire and want and would hope for from the science establishment if they would quit worrying about making everyone believe like they do and join the fun of exploring this topic instead of poo-pooing everybody who thinks a little differently or keeping evidence out of the public because it doesn't fit your own paradigm. How about we do a comprehensive analysis of consistent patterns of long-term biocultural change throughout human evolution, as well as recent advances in our own understanding of time and time travel and space travel. We might begin to consider this future possibility in the context of a currently unexplained phenomenon. I mean, look, let's face it, none of us know a whole lot anyway, including the scientists. We don't know more than 4% of the entire universe, and that's at best. We got to be a little humble here. So what this book does is it ties together these known aspects of our evolutionary history with what is still an unproven, unverified aspect of UFOs and aliens. But that's what we want. We're like Alice in Wonderland. We are exploring a whole new world here, a whole new paradigm. So why not argue that ET is actually a traveler from across the vastness of space from a distant planet? Wouldn't that be an easier answer? And that's one of the debates that's going on right now. Master says, no, I think it's the opposite. And here's his reasoning. And I thought, this is really cool. Oh, I'm going to go down here so you don't look at the picture. We know we're here. We know humans exist. We know we've had a long evolutionary history on this planet, and we know our technology is going to be more advanced in the future. So I think the simplest explanation innately is that it is us. Interesting concept. Interesting concept. So which is the most parsimonious? You know what the most parsimonious explanation is? Parsimony, the law of parsimony, is the simpler explanation, is probably the best one to choose if you had to choose any. Of 3 decisions, if you only had one assumption with decision 1, 2 assumptions with decision 2, and 3 assumptions with decision 3, it would probably be best to explore one stronger than the other 2. That's parsimony. Go with the easy explanation. So the archaeological tourism now is an anthropologist who has worked on and directed numerous archaeological digs. This guy's been in Africa, France, throughout the United States. He observes it's easy to conceptualize just how much more could be learned about our own evolutionary history if we currently possess the technology to visit past periods of time. See, we don't know a lot. We're still learning. We're still children on the seashore playing with the shiny pebbles and some of the shells, like Isaac Newton proclaimed, right? The alleged abduction accounts are mostly scientific in nature. It's probably future, and this is interesting, anthropologists, historians, linguists that are coming back to get information in a way that we can't currently without access to that technology, Master says. That said, I do think that some component of it is also tourism. And this is one of the other really interesting explanations, man. Is our Earth a zoo for the cosmos within the realm of, say, 25 light years all around us? Are we the animals they want to come and look at and laugh at and, toss breadcrumbs and cookies to, right? So, and he makes a point here that is quite interesting. Undoubtedly, in the future, there are those that will pay a lot of money to have the opportunity to go back and observe their favorite period in history. Interesting. For instance, I ask people periodically from time to time, if you could time travel, would you go to the past or would you go to the future? Most people say they want to go to the past. I do too, to several periods in the past. That would be cool. And then he talks about the important sites, pyramids of Giza, Machu Picchu in Peru, old and prehistoric sites, etc. It's an evolving project. They're still missing pieces to the puzzle, but of course, none of us have any hard, fast answers to anything with this topic, that's for sure. There are aspects of time that we don't yet understand, and yet we're a slave to it for most of our lives in the workforce. Isn't that odd? Don't you find that odd? I do. I'm getting tired of it. Yeah. What we need is a theory of quantum gravity. And I've got some fun stuff on quantum gravity. If you're interested, let me know in the comments. I will do some videos on quantum gravity. That's quite a fascinating topic. And we can meld in general relativity and quantum mechanics. I know those concepts, they almost seem scary to us, but they're really not. They're more fascinating than scary. We can understand them, don't worry. Anyway, so we've got to be based on current scientific knowledge, but we have to expand into new interpretations because our current scientific knowledge is so woefully inadequate and incomplete, right? For instance, our jets, our best jets, the ones that cost you and I $1 trillion in our frickin' taxes for a jet, $1 trillion, they couldn't even keep up with a little gizmo that looks like a Tic Tac. That tells you how inadequate we know things. But the jet pilot, Fravor, said, man, I want to fly one of those little things. Yeah, who wouldn't, right? But we're not going to pay our government $1 quadrillion frickin' dollars so that they can make one and keep it from us anymore. Now, we've got to stand up for our rights. So anyway. So Masters postulates using a multidisciplinary scientific approach to the phenomenon. And what that means simply is let's grab all of our, whether it's biology or chemistry, physics, mathematics, etc., psychology, astronomy, information about oceanography, etc., the multidisciplinary approach. Let's look at all angles. Don't take stuff off the table because you've labeled it as paranormal. Oh, we can't look at that. Remote viewing? Oh, hell no. Mind reading, telepathy? Absolutely not. No, that's not the scientific spirit. That's not what science is supposed to do. Let's look at all of it. Yeah, that's what it's going to take, and that's what he does. And MUFON says, we're not alone. I think that can be pretty well agreed upon for the most part. I honestly don't think we're alone in this vast universe anymore. The space telescopes have shown us just truly how vast the cosmos really is and how many trillions of planets and suns and galaxies there are out there. So that's not the question anymore. Are we alone? We're past that. Now, the real question is, who are they? That's what makes this extremely interesting, right? Well, who are they? So there's that famous photo, the tic-tac shaped objects. But not everybody is on board with this idea, as you might imagine, and this is good. We need a critical and at the same time a skeptical slash believing slash scientific slash spiritual slash psychological slash view and analysis of all angles. Just because someone says it's real doesn't make it real. Just because someone comes out and says that's pure baloney doesn't mean it's pure baloney either. That's why we have to test and sift. I mean, this is basic science 101. I mean, this is science 99 as far as that goes. So suppose they have master that can come back. He thinks you just, I don't think Masters is saying this, but this is the skeptical approach. You just spin something fast enough and it's going to begin to warp space and even send stuff backwards in time. This is a highly dubious claim, he says. I have a feeling Masters did not put it that way. So anyway, it'll be fun to get his book and read it. So the idea is they're us. David Darling, a British astronomer and science writer who's authored books on sweeping array of topics, gravity, Zen physics. Zen physics. That sounds interesting, doesn't it? I'd like to get that book. Astrobiology and teleportation. That sounds like an interesting subject. And extraterrestrial life. So I've often thought that if some UFOs are alien craft, it's just as reasonable to suppose that they might be time machines from our own future than that they're spacecraft from other stars. That's another interpretation. The problem is the if. Yeah. Darling said that while some aerial phenomenon have eluded easy identification, one of the least likely explanations, it seems to him, is that they're artificial and not of this world. You know, outside of the popular mythos of flying saucers and archetypal big-brained aliens, there's precious, and this is important to keep in mind too, there's precious little credible evidence that they exist, Darling said. All right, that's fair. Not near enough to convince me yet. I'm still looking, but right, I'm with you. So my issue with the book is not the ingenuity of his thesis, but the fact that there's really no need that such a thesis be had in the first place. Here's some various different types of flying saucers that have been shown. Kind of interesting to see the different type of saucer shapes. And yet there's differences and yet there's similarities. And this is from different areas, different times, all around the world. California, Flagstaff, Angola, Majorca, Spain, Trinidad, Illinois, etc. Lots of different stuff. Now, Larry Lumpky, a retired NASA aerospace engineer with an interest in the UFO phenomena, finds the prospect of time-traveling visitors from the future intriguing, and I'm with him on that. The one thing that has become clear, he says, over the decades of various sightings, if you believe the reports, is that these objects don't seem to be obeying the usual law of aerodynamics and Newtonian mechanics. And that's true. And so the relationship in the natural world between force, mass, and motion seems to be overcome with these UAPs, UFOs. So toss in for good. Oh, no. Toss in for good measure. Oh, my heck. Toss in for good measure. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Let me see if this is still showing. Are you still seeing it? Yep, you're still seeing it. I'm screaming and wailing and weeping and gnashing my teeth for nothing. Einstein's theory of general relativity and the consequences from that. You know, you got wormholes, you have black holes. See, that's what his mathematics, in order to get relativity understood, once the mathematics were completely worked out, like Schwarzschild worked through and all, and he discovered, my goodness, the mathematics of general relativity, in general, calls for such weird, exotic things out there like gravity waves and black holes and wormholes, and what the hell is all of that? And we're still exploring the ramifications of it all 100 years later. And this is good. This is what science is supposed to do. So there's, and the Alcubierre, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, the Alcubierre warp drive bubble. That's an interesting subject. That might be worth an extra video too. There's a group of thinkers in the field of UFOs. And what they pointed out is that when phenomena is reported about UFOs, they look exactly like general relativity effects. And so that is interesting. Missing time is also a very common theme with people who have been abducted and gone on to UFOs. Absolutely. I mean, Betty and Barney Hill, Travis Walton, Whitley Strieber. There's a lot of people who talk about that one. Missing time. How could that possibly happen, you see? Lumpky said the idea that somebody has figured out how to manipulate space-time. Now, how to manipulate space-time? Man, wouldn't that be a fantastic Christmas present on December 25th in the morning to get some kind of a cool little device that you can manipulate space-time with? That would be a hell of a Christmas present. If you can do that on a local scale with a low energy approach, that would explain a lot of things across the UFO phenomena, including the tic-tac shaped objects reported by fighters and radar operators. No matter how much knowledge we have, how much we think we know, there's always some frontier beyond. And to understand that frontier is getting more and more esoteric. Now, and this isn't, it's not our fault. It's not our fault. We're not trying to make it woo-woo. We're not attempting to, get all crazy psychological, spiritual stuff on and on. It's through the descriptions of the experiences. It's through reading the texts and trying to assess, what did we see that thing do? How could it possibly do that? That we've come to the conclusion that we have here a really weird, interesting, exotic physics in front of our very eyes. And that is important to recognize. That would be fun to keep working it. So another idea that I have that I wanted to share with you that is, I think, quite interesting. I think we've got the time. Is that one right there? Okay, warp drive when? Hold on, what's this? Oh, no, that was the one I got to. I will do another one on that one. Boy, that is some extensive science, though, I'm telling you. That is something else. That is one heck of a fabulous article. That's one that just makes you go, blows your brains out. All right, I did the leaked photo, extraterrestrials. This one right here. So, okay, so I'm going to take these out of order. I'm going to go ahead and take these out of order a little bit. I should do the other one first, but I want to share this with you because this is just recent, within, say, 10 years. And I've got a small little video here that I want to show you. That really helps explain, it explains the reality that there really are portals in space. Now, of course, And I've seen some articles. I have not had a chance to examine them yet in any kind of detail, but there are articles where scientists in the lab have now, and they do this mostly, of course, mathematically. They put two black holes together, and based on the information that we have from observation of black holes, at least the event horizons between them, etc., and of course the inclusivity in Einsteinian general relativity that shows that there should be wormholes in our cosmos. When they pull those two black holes apart, there's a wormhole between them. that is utterly fast. The idea of a wormhole is like a tube. This is one black hole, this is one universe, this is another. Or this is the Milky Way galaxy, this is the Andromeda galaxy. If there was a wormhole between them, if we could enter it in the Milky Way, we could instantly zip over there to the Andromeda galaxy. And that is perhaps, it's very exotic, I agree, but that is perhaps an explanation of how ET gets here, through a wormhole. But that's not just science fiction anymore. Look, the mathematics of general relativity insisted that around a massive object, light will bend, and then the eclipse showed up and it verified that. The mathematics of relativity insists that there are black holes, and now we know that they're not just an offshoot, one over here, and maybe there might be two of them in our universe. No, there is a black hole at the center of every galaxy that we understand and see with our telescopes, and we now know that there are 2 trillion galaxies. 2 trillion galaxies, each one with anywhere from 3 to 400 billion stars, and who knows how many black holes are in the galaxy itself. So this is not just maybe, barely discernible because of the mathematics of general relativity. This is a standard feature of our universe now that we've come to understand it. Well, so are wormholes. Pretty exotic stuff. There's no evidence yet that we could go through a wormhole and survive. We've never even seen a wormhole. We've seen it in the mathematics. But how long did it take us before we actually, and this is literal now, we've really discovered gravity waves. They're real. That's not guesswork anymore. That's not woo-woo. There's gravity waves. Okay, so we know there's black holes. That's not woo-woo anymore. And now we know that there's black holes through the mathematics, yet we haven't seen. Are we seeing the results of black holes with all of the UFOs that's visiting us since we've become a nuclear world? Richard Dolan's idea that we only became a very interesting species since we decided to get into nuclear weapons and use the nuclear weapons, now we become very interesting indeed, makes a lot of sense. Richard Dolan's good on that subject, I'm telling you. So this exotic stuff is for real. We don't call them wormholes, but now we know that there are portals in space. Let's take a look at this. I want to show you this little video real quick. Come on, it doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not. That is one spectacular piece of art. Man, what would it be like to see something like that close out in space in a spaceship, right? It'd probably make you pee your pants. It's beautiful here as a piece of art, but that'd absolutely terrify you if you were on that planet right there, up there in the upper left, wouldn't it? That would not be pleasant. That would be scary. Space is a tough place to survive, right? So anyway, let me just get to this. Yeah, here it is. Okay, hold on. Let me, can you see it okay? Is that big enough? I don't think it is. Let me just go to full screen. Well, that helps a little bit. All right, let's, okay, here we go. So there are hidden magnetic portals around our sun. Now, rather than me explain this to you, let's just watch the video. It's just a 3.5-minute video. Well worth it. This is a fascinating new scientific discovery, you guys.
Hidden magnetic portals around Earth. Presented by Science at NASA. A favorite theme of science fiction is the portal, an extraordinary opening in space or time that connects travelers to distant realms. A good portal is a shortcut, a guide, a door into the unknown, if only they actually existed. It turns out that they do, sort of. And a NASA-funded researcher at the University of Iowa has figured out how to find them. We call them X-points, or electron diffusion regions, explains plasma physicist Jack Scudder of the University of Iowa. They're places where the magnetic field of Earth connects to the magnetic field of the Sun, creating an uninterrupted path leading from our own planet to the Sun's atmosphere 93 million miles away. Observations by NASA's Themis spacecraft and Europe's cluster probes suggest that these magnetic portals open and close dozens of times each day. They're typically located a few tens of thousands of kilometers from Earth, where the geomagnetic field meets the onrushing solar wind. Most portals are small and short-lived. Others are yawning, vast, and sustained. Energetic particles can flow through the openings, heating Earth's upper atmosphere, sparking geomagnetic storms, and igniting bright polar auroras. NASA is planning a mission called MMS, short for Magnetospheric Multiscale Mission, due to launch in 2014 to study the phenomenon. Bristling with energetic particle detectors and magnetic sensors, the 4 spacecraft of MMS will spread out in Earth's magnetosphere and surround the portals to observe how they work. Just one problem: finding them. Magnetic portals are invisible, unstable, and elusive. They open and close without warning, and there are no signposts to guide us in, notes Scudder. Actually, there are signposts, and Scudder has found them. Portals form via the process of magnetic reconnection. Mingling lines of magnetic force from the Sun and Earth crisscross and join to create the openings. X-points are where the crisscross takes place. The sudden joining of magnetic fields can propel jets of charged particles from the X-point, creating an electron diffusion region. To learn how to pinpoint these events, Scudder looked at data from a space probe that orbited Earth more than 10 years ago. In the late 1990s, NASA's Polar spacecraft spent years in Earth's magnetosphere, explains Scudder, and it encountered many X-points during its mission. Because Polar carried sensors similar to those of MMS, Scudder decided to see how an X-point looked to Polar. Using Polar data, we have found 5 simple combinations of magnetic field and energetic particle measurements that tell us when we've come across an X-point or an electron diffusion region. A single spacecraft, properly instrumented, can make these measurements. This means that a single member of the MMS constellation, using the diagnostics, can find a portal and alert other members of the constellation. Mission planners long thought that MMS might have to spend a year or so learning to find portals before it could study them. Scudder's work shortcuts the process, allowing MMS to get to work without delay. It's a shortcut worthy of the best portals of fiction. Only this time, the portals are real. And with the new signposts, we know how to find them.
Cool. So that's kind of fun. Oh, I'm blanked out. I'm censored. No, there we go. I'm going to get rid of the censorship and come back on regardless. So that's kind of fun. Now, and I agree. I saw a comment here. Hang on. I'm gonna. Yeah, Yellow King. Let me put up Yellow King's comment. These portals are just kind of focal points through which energy flows. No teleportation of any sort. Not yet. That's true. Yeah, the types of portals are important, but we begin with baby steps is how I'm going to call it. And I'm not trying to stupidly justify something because I don't know if I believe in portals yet either. But the thing is, we're learning that there are connections in space greater than we've ever supposed before. And that's the key. That is what makes this so fascinating to try to understand and grasp. Because as we continue learning and sharing information, and as we continue able to use our scientific instruments, microscopes, telescopes, magnetometers, it doesn't matter what they are, whether we're studying the ultra huge cosmos or the ultra tiny quantum world, we're constantly discovering something new that expands what we thought we knew. And there are times when the new observations make it so that we have to discard what we think we knew was real and add in more, which changes everything. It's like adding extra ingredients in the cake while you're mixing it. You're going to change the flavor of the cake, etc. Yeah, but that's what's supposed to happen. Then wait till you bake the cake. You can eat the dough and the dough is good, but wait until you bake the cake. It's a whole different texture. Again, it's just new information and new connections. So I like this. I like this idea that we're continually progressing. So thanks for your comment. I appreciate that. So now let me get to another point that I thought was extremely interesting. And this is now Michael E. Salah. I have been reading lots of his papers this last week. This guy is good. He is good. Now, this is from a 2007 discussion, Exopolitics website. Extraterrestrials, Stargate technology, and Dan Burish. Is Dan Burish giving us public disclosure, or is he giving us disinformation? That's an important question. Dan Burish is really an interesting character. Yeah, I'm with you, Yellow King. I like the cake dough too. Yeah, we're brothers from another mother. Absolutely. Fundamentally so. So, yeah. But his exploration, Salah looks at all points and he analyzes a lot of stuff. And I really love him for that. In a recent 2-hour interview conducted by Project Camelot, Dr. Dan Burish speaks about Stargate technology. Now, this is absolutely fascinating. Even as a science fiction story, this is just exquisite. Just to understand, recognize something. When we say something is science fiction, be very careful because 95% of our reality right now was science fiction 60 years ago. So be real careful. If you think you're discrediting something by calling it science fiction, you may not be. Because we humans have a way of turning what we imagine into physical reality if we can, and we do pretty okay with that, just so you're aware. So this idea of Stargate technology is an exquisitely fascinating thing, both natural stargates and artificially created stargates. And both of these have been used by extraterrestrials and this is the intriguing part, various government entities to travel or send information through time. Now, that is an amazing claim. That is wild. Wait, you mean we've established time travel? According to Burish, yes, he's been involved with these projects, if he can be believed. Now, what is a Stargate? Okay. A natural Stargate is an Einstein-Rosen bridge. which means it's a wormhole. I don't have a picture of a wormhole ready right now. Doggone it. I'm sorry. This forms of space-time is distorted by the intense gravitational fields generated by collapsing stars. What they do is they compress to the extent that they form a point of singularity wherein time slows down in relation to outside observers. So singularity points have been hypothesized to exist at the center of black holes, and they also might exist in other locations in space-time because it's been distorted by an intense gravitational field. That's the point. It's like an hourglass with the sand in it, and you flip it over. It's an hourglass shape. The middle part is the wormhole. At a singularity point, time would effectively stop because it dilates to infinity, and that is exactly what general relativity predicted with the math. Now, we don't see this right now, but the mathematics, so far as we understand, based on what we've had with the mathematics and then the looking out into the cosmos, is we've seen the mathematics is pretty good. So if general relativity described wormholes, they're out there. Relativity has not been wrong in that regard. So if we could survive the intense gravity, we could travel from one place to another instantaneously, even if it was 1 million light years away. That's the theory. That's the Einstein-Rosen bridge. Now, of course, at this point, we've never done this, or have we? We know the government's being secret. We know it hasn't told us a lot. Maybe you and I haven't done this. Maybe our public scientists, such as Neil deGrasse Tyson, have not seen this or done this. But that doesn't mean it hasn't been done, because Neil deGrasse Tyson is not the basis for objective reality. His experience is his alone. That doesn't mean everybody has to only have their experience on his basis, right? And yet that's how he judges people who claim they've been abducted by aliens and so on. He just poo-poos it all. Well, I haven't had that experience, therefore you haven't. See, that's not scientific at all. That's just idiotic, right? That's very narrow-minded, very subjective. If that doesn't make him stop it, I don't know what will, because he loves to imagine he's being objective, right? So Paul Davies said it would be possible to create a time machine if a singularity point could be found, and technology existed to keep it open for the time traveler. He describes the process whereby advanced civilizations might control a natural stargate or a wormhole. And it may have formed naturally in the Big Bang, so an advanced spacefaring civilization might expect to discover one in the galaxy and commandeer it. That's in his book, How to Build a Time Machine, or in his article, I mean. So the principles behind stargates as a form of time travel technology, they're well known to the scientists, and they're feasible. But not for us, because we just don't have the technology. So are these technologies secretly existing in the classified world of terrestrial related projects? This is where Burish's testimony becomes significant, since he claims to have been involved in such projects. Now, there are so many people who say, yeah, Burish, he's just full of it. He's wackadoodle. He's woo-woo lunatic. But only because you haven't worked on it is not the basis to say he hasn't. That's a tough one to overcome, I must say. So anyway, Burish says, he says, we have to consider the merits of his claims concerning Stargate technologies without being drawn into the contrasting polemical positions on his authenticity and significance. But that does not mean you have to believe him. We are continually improving our understanding and hopefully technology so that we can test some of his claims. Or if we will just get off our lazy public butts and help our Congress get more power that they should have in the oversight so that they can bring the technologies that are being hidden from us public out into the open so that we can all enjoy the benefits of them, that would be a good thing too. So Burish argues that Stargate technology basically allows us to physically enter or move through or to move material through time. And this goes into different time streams. This is quite remarkable. Burish claims that artificial stargates are instruments that tap into natural stargates in order to operate. He believes there are approximately 50 artificial stargates present on our planet, with an undisclosed number of natural stargates. One of those stargates are supposedly at Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. Another one is potentially at Sedona, Arizona. Another one is up there in Alaska. You know, they're all over the world. It's very interesting. What is so amazing, he argues, and this is weird, but I've been reading on this too, and now it's making more sense. There is a Stargate in the city of ancient Babylon where Saddam Hussein ruled from, and the United States under George W. Bush went and got rid of Saddam Hussein. The idea was to take over that Stargate in his city. They were afraid Saddam Hussein was going to take it over. Isn't that amazing? The information for the development of artificial stargates came from cylinder seals coming from Iraq. The first one in 1991, the second one in 2003. The Gulf War military interventions by the U.S. and its allies. The cylinder seals contained extraterrestrial information given to the ancient Sumerians, who faithfully replicated this information on cuneiform texts. And they are the ones that talk about the fish beings who came and gave them technology and civilization. They came from the oceans. Yeah, you kind of go, wow, that is crazy. That is crazy. But that's the history that's not given to us because, you know, the conventional history is supposed to be the truth. Yeah. Let's not get into that wild chase. So Burish's information gives plausibility to the thesis that U.S. military intervention into Iraq was motivated by the desire to discover and control Stargate technology. At least one other recent whistleblower interviewed by the Project Camelot team, he uses the pseudonym Henry Deacon. He claims that Burish's information on Stargates is correct. So he claims that an offshoot of Stargate technology is Project Looking Glass. Now, what this is it's an instrument that allows the person to look into different timelines. Each one of us has a timeline for our life. Now, if you've ever watched the show, and it just slipped my mind, I just watched it the other night. Oh, come on. Oh, I can't remember it. Bureau, something about Bureau. Gal. Anyway, there's different timelines, and if those can be manipulated, then things can change. What was supposed to happen can be prevented. And one of the claims is really interesting in that the timeline that the aliens saw that Hillary Clinton was going to be elected president, that had to be prevented because that was going to lead to nuclear war. Now that is some crazy stuff. That is science fiction. And yet, this is the claim of Burish, is they are manipulating timelines in order to prevent an absolute catastrophe happening. And yet, they're really getting more and more active, apparently, according to this, with the timelines, because we're too frickin' stupid to not destroy ourselves. So we're still going to cause a horrific problem because of our lack of foresight as a species. You know, we're becoming more tribal. We want our nation and our nation alone to be number one. And every other nation out there in the world is thinking the same stupid, uncooperative thing, when in fact it should be a whole unified understanding as a species, but we're not that mature yet. It sucks, but that's how it is. So that is one of the things potentially, if this has any accuracy, that is one of the things that the ETs are very concerned about. So Looking Glass enables one to view probable future events or what is occurring in a different time stream. Burish claims that Stargate technology was used by the extraterrestrials, which helped them enter into Earth's timeline, but was only used by humans to send information into different time streams. So, yeah. He claims that due to the highly unstable nature of Stargates, it was deemed too dangerous to send humans through them. This is contrary to the testimony of other whistleblowers associated with the Montauk Project and Project Talent, that children were regularly used for time travel experiments regardless of safety considerations. Now that you go, what the hell? Yeah, you know, that's kind of a jolt to me personally. Stuart Swerdlow claims that he was one of the few survivors of experiments involving children and time travel technologies. You know, Duncan O'Finion revealed that one of the covert missions he served on while secretly recruited into Project Talent between the ages of 14 to 17 involved him entering into a Stargate or a dimensional portal that instantly transported him to an unknown destination. So this, I'm just saying, boy, are we into science fiction here? Well, that doesn't save our bacon, because we were into science fiction back when I was a little kid, and now we're living it. And I mean it. We are living it. You don't think cell phones was science fiction? You don't think televisions was science fiction? You don't think automobiles was science fiction? There's no way you could make a buggy move without a horse pulling it. Yeah, well, give us a little while, we'll show you. And then shortly after, we landed men on the moon. We put rockets into space. We have satellites. We have millions of pieces of space junk up there orbiting our Earth because of all the stuff we're putting up there in the Earth, in the sky, I mean. All science fiction, all of it. So, yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know if I can go this far in believing this stuff. But if I can't believe it, within my children's lifetime, it'll be happening, if it's not already. Because the idea is here in humanity. And when we get hold of an idea, I don't know how we do it. You know, maybe it's that extra little spark of divinity in each one of us, but we find a way. Boy, that's getting no stick on you, isn't it? The spark of the light is in each one of us from the great consciousness. Yeah. Well, we find a way to make that real. So, you know, mock it now, and in 20 years, go ahead and go back into the past and see yourself mocking it here. I'm just saying. That's how fast we do things around here. So, yeah, I mean, the very fact that you're looking at computers and some of you are halfway around the world and you're live right now talking to me and I'm not even screaming at you and you're thousands and thousands of miles away. That's utterly science fiction. If you was to say that was real, they would scream bullshit at you. They would lock you up as insane. And that wasn't that long ago, in your grandpa's day. Here we are. So anyway. So now he says that the Stargates, and they really did a big deal on the 2012 end of days thing. And, you know, so many people misconstrued that and all. I get it. We might be doing the same thing with the 2026, 2027, 2030, 2033. I've heard 2034, 35, 36, 37, 2044, 2050, etc. I mean, you know, where does the insanity stop? But hold on. From 2012 on, we have literally been changing the whole discourse of humanity with artificial intelligence. So, yeah, I get it. It wasn't the end of the world. That's never what it was proclaimed to be. True, Jesus Christ didn't make it back for his second coming. All right, yeah, that's probably the failure of 2012. But the rise in a new knowledge, man, that's very real. And it's going so fast we can't keep up with it. So anyway, well, the artificial stargates have been deactivated in case they contribute to possible future calamities. And part of that future calamity was a heightened solar activity. And that was supposed to peak in 2012. And that is part of the reason why the aliens came into our timeline, because somehow, if there had been a nuclear war or something before 2012, it was going to goof up the sun. This is the explanation, right? I'm not saying I believe all this. I'm just saying this is the story. But it had something to do with sun activity. Now, don't mock solar flares. Just a couple of months ago, over half of Europe was darkened. Entire countries went black because of a solar flare. So that's not just bullshit. We just saw that happen. So, I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stuff that's going on, right? Fun to keep our eyes open and our minds open, yeah? So, and this also is kind of really part of the wild ride, I'm just saying. Burish claims that looking glass technology was used to foresee the terrorist attacks on the United States around the new millennium, 9/11. Wow. Possible future war with Islamic states. There's another couple of other claims that he says with the extraterrestrial phenomenon, etc. So, and here's the analysis. He's going to take a middle road here, and I side with Salah very, very much here. Now, Dan Burish is still alive. I think he's sequestered. He's protected up in Canada. But in the interviews, he does come across very sincere. Now, I've watched at least 8 of his interviews this last week or so, and he is sincere. There's no question about it. And he's animated in his beliefs and opinions that he holds about government policies and the intervention of extraterrestrial life in human affairs. Yeah, absolutely. There's little doubt from his body language and other nonverbal clues that, and this is the important point, he is telling the truth as he believes it. He's not just making up a cock and bull story. He really believes this. Okay, that's as far as we can go on it, right? We're just trying to be realistic. However, there is a difference between accounting relating true events accurately and accurately relating fabricated events that one has been manipulated into believing to be true. That's a good point. He has been the victim of mind control procedures in the past. We do know that he was given disinformation. And so we're trying to still assess how accurate is the information that he did give us as opposed to the disinformation. For instance, at one point, it was claimed that he was allowed into the Majestic 12 group, and he was called M9. That could be a disinformation move to throw us public off the track of whatever it is they don't want us to understand. So, he does have altered memories. We know that. But it's unfair to say everything he says is a cock and bull story. That's technically not true because there appears to be corroborating evidence from other people who have come forward since Burish. So, it's all up in the air as far as that goes. But this is a fantastically fascinating subject to explore. That's what I'm trying to present to you. Rather than just simply label it, oh, he's completely fake. Don't listen to a thing he says. It's fun to explore and see. For instance, there was a letter received by Hamilton, ostensibly written by a member of the MJ-12 Special Studies Group, setting policy on extraterrestrial affairs. And this letter describes how Bob Lazar and Dan Burish were both earmarked early in their careers as psychologically most likely to become whistleblowers. They would subsequently be used to acclimatize the general public to the reality of extraterrestrial life and technology. So again, it appears that those in the MJ-12 group do not want catastrophic disclosure, but they do want a steady, slow drip disclosure, so to speak. And they knew that Bob Lazar and Dan Burish would be whistleblowers. They would psychologically fit that. That does not mean the information they're giving is fake, but it doesn't mean it's true either. We can't trust them to just be 100% accurate and true and realistic and truthful because they worked for the government agencies. That's like asking Richard Doty. I've actually had some people say, oh, you ought to interview Richard Doty. Man, I'm not going to touch Richard Doty with a 10-foot pole. His entire life was to be a disinformation agent. There is no way in hell you could ever figure out whether he was telling the truth or not. So, yeah. Now, sorry to disappoint whoever it was, but no, Richard Doty is not on the agenda any more than Dan Burish is. Although I wouldn't mind talking to Dan Burish. He is entirely unavailable. Oh, and I've got some new information on Element 115 also from Bob Lazar. Some scientists have been studying some stuff, and there's some new updates. I'll have to make a video of that. It's fun stuff. Yeah, I get it. There's some people say, Lazar is phony. Other people say he's absolutely there. But this Element 115 isn't going away either. This is a story that keeps resurfacing, and through all of the chemistry and the physics and the engineering, Element 115 stays in the game. That's how I'm going to put it. I'm just saying. If you like this Bob Lazar stuff, you're going to love it when I put together this video on Element 115. So I'm just saying. It's just so interesting. There's so much to learn and so little time. So we have to recognize that perhaps Burish's testimony, a significant portion of it is laced with disinformation. Look, that's the realistic way to look at this. But that does not mean everything he said was false. That's where people go off. We polarize things so much and so immaturely. Oh, it's totally whack job. Oh, he's totally truth. No, there never is a total here or a total error. It's always going to be a mix. And so we need to keep that in mind. And that means it's unfortunate for us, right? Because now we are left with the task of cleaning up the mess, as it were. You know, we have to sift through all of this stuff and study to get to what's true. But that's part of the fun of the journey, man. Right? You can look at it that way, or you can say, forget it. I hate this whole subject. I'm going to go off and go snow skiing. Yeah, you can do that too. Right? So fun stuff. The bottom line is there is, the idea of Stargate technology. I'm not going to lie to you. I find fascinating. I do. I can't help it. I hope it's real. I hope the looking glass thing is real. On the other hand, what is the name of that movie? Why have I got such a brain fart? Adjustment. The Adjustment Bureau, the movie. The Adjustment Bureau. Go watch that. I'm serious. Go watch it. You saw it already? Go watch it again. I'm serious. This time, recognize that the Adjustment Bureau symbolizes the aliens. And this is how they're functioning. Now, there are some who say they are functioning in order to prevent really catastrophic disasters that we are going to do because we're too short-sighted as a species. And unfortunately, I'm afraid they're right. I hope they're wrong, but I'm afraid they're right. But the Adjustment Bureau are the alien. Now, when you look at it that way, that movie takes on serious significance. Someone is trying to tell us something is happening. You know, it's just like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You know, these movies are not made in a vacuum, man. It's like the Men in Black. Now, they put in a lot of good humor. Oh, there was some fantastic humor in the Men in Black. But the reality, and this is according to, witnesses who have come forward, if we can believe them, right? You always have to have that element there, but the Men in Black, the theme is the government is working with ET. Now, that's Dan Burish. That's part of his testimony. That's the testimony of a lot of different people. Malmgren. That's the testimony of Major Filer, whom I've had on my show a few times. That's the testimony of these people who are in these government programs that they actually worked with aliens. And if they are to be believed, there are still aliens living down there in Area 51, and they're still working with them right now, today. Now we're to the point to where the aliens have a hybrid program, we are told. Wow. I mean, that's just a mind boggler, where they've been interbreeding and they walk among us. We are told that in straightforward, sober terms. They walk among us. Dang, that's heavy. Look, that's heavy. I'm with you. But that doesn't mean it's fake. Just because we couldn't conceive of it doesn't mean it's not happening, right? So, how do we maintain, how do we get open-minded enough to accept the new reality that is being thrust upon us? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to pass that test. You know, I have some days when I say I'll read a book or I'll reread a book or I'll watch a YouTube video and I'll say, yeah, that's yep. That's right. That's real. That's good. A week later, I'll watch another one on the same theme and I'll go, oh, I don't know. I don't think so. No, there's too many holes in that theory. And then it dawns on me, holy crap, a week ago I accepted it from so-and-so, but now I'm finding problems with it. And then I watch something else the next day, say, or within another week or so, and it answers the objections that I had. And I'm going, oh my gosh, here we go again. I'm not being wishy-washy. I'm not changing my mind arbitrarily because a part of me wants to hold on to Big Daddy in the sky and, oh, you're just a weak little emotional child and you can't grow up and man up. I mean, you know, the atheists, they get into mockery sometimes. Not all the time. They have some great arguments on so many subjects, but sometimes they really are idiots. Just like our scientists do the same thing, just like I have done the same thing. We're all human. All right, I get that. I'm with it. But on this subject, dang, tough one to come to grips with. Just when I think I'm getting a handle on it, even just psychologically, just about when the time I say, okay, yeah, look, I've read 4 books on this. So yeah, I'm good with, yeah, I can handle this. Then someone else brings in something that I hadn't even thought of about a particular subject that I just got comfortable with, and it completely yanks the rug out from under my feet. And I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm back to square one. This is pure bunk. How could I have been so stupid as to believe something so obviously false? And then in the next 6 months, a new book comes along from a remote viewer of all people or things and starts showing me the evidence. And I'm going, wow, maybe I was too hasty in judging. What is a person to do in this wild ride of a subject and life experience except keep moving forward, not with the idea of believing or disbelieving? I think that's where I've gone wrong in the past. Thank you, Chris Ramsey of Area 52. He brought up this philosophy, and now I'm trying to practice it. I think he's got a good idea here, and I'm going to try to emulate it. We're not studying this ufology stuff, this crazy doctrine of portals and stargates and hybrids and aliens among us abducting us and having sex with us and who knows what else. We're not studying this in order to convince the skeptics or convince the believers, either direction. Forget that noise. What we're doing and what science should be doing, and unfortunately, science doesn't do this as much as they could anymore. They also have become gatekeepers to the knowledge, which is wrong. That's not. Science is the rebellion against that exact kind of authority. No, we determine what is true and what is false. Bullshit. Observation, experimentation, and repeatability and evidence is what determines what knowledge is, not you determining it. You see, science is rebelled against the scientific establishment today, who have sunk to the low, immature level of dogmatically declaring what is true science and what is false science. How ironic. That's crazy beans, man. But we're not in it to try to believe or disbelieve. We are gathering all of the information. And Chris Ramsey of Area 52 said this. I was very happy to hear him say that. It kind of got me off my Like, oh, yeah. I had lost my focus. We are looking for patterns. We are bringing in all of the subjects, even if it's about space sex. If the subject is about laser beam technology, grab your gun like in Mars Attacks and whack, 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 whack. All of the points of view in all of the movies. Yes, movies can give us exquisite insight into understanding this phenomenon. Movies, we know those are fiction. Really, they're based on fact because they're trying to tell us something. Are we listening? It doesn't matter whether it comes from books, photographs, videos. It's irrelevant if you find it on a computer. It doesn't matter if you're talking to your neighbor or your mom or your dad or your favorite uncle or your niece or your nephew. However we acquire the knowledge, however we acquire the information, that is what we're after, so that we can compare and contrast, so that we can test claims, not to see if they're true or false, just to see how they jibe. Is there a large coherence that fits in with our cosmological understanding, as well as our ultra small quantum physics understanding from the bottom up, cosmological from the top down, and us humans in the middle? Can we come to a, how would you put this, a more realistic understanding, perhaps? That's what we're after. Shout out. Thank you, Chris Ramsey of Area 52. Tell him the Backyard Professor on his live gave him a wonderful shout out and a heartfelt thank you, my brother, for sharing the essence of what our ufology research needs to be doing. I'm right there with you. Yeah, good stuff. So this is what builds our excitement. This is what makes us so that we can sleep at night. This is what makes us so that we lose sleep at night, realizing, oh my hell, is one of those things going to come through a portal into my house? Well, yeah, there is actual records of that exact thing happening. And that's not fun. I'm not speaking from experience, but doggone it. Read Whitley Strieber, who hasn't yet returned my phone calls or emails yet. Dang it. I wish to heck he'd contact me. I'd love to have him on the show. Boy, I got on a rant there, didn't I? But it's such a wild topic. It's such a mind-blowing, do I dare say a mind-expanding? I think so. A mind-expanding topic that you go, damn, this is the spice of life. Come on, this is part of what makes this journey so worth it. Because you don't have all the answers. You really do have to dig for them. And I mean, if you have to take the time to learn some science, then take the time and learn some science. If you have to give up doing something that you really like to do in order to get the answers and acquire some mathematics or study some psychology or study some ancient history, then do that. The journey is well worth it. I mean, isn't that what time is for? Time is here for us to use. Why not use it in something that is so refreshing, that is so exasperating, that is so easy to embrace and yet difficult to embrace? And you say, yeah, come on, dude, that's paradoxical. No, duh, doo-wah. You're damn right it's paradoxical. Pretty much everything about this subject is paradoxical. You think any of this stuff's normal? They used to lock people up just within my lifetime. Back when I was a kid, if you even spoke the word alien. Now we're making movies, we're writing books, we're doing YouTube videos. We got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who are discussing it. Congress is taking a look at it. Our scientists are taking it serious. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's really nice. It's exciting. So anyway, I'm done ranting and raving and sharing cool info with you. I hope you guys have had a lot of fun. Looks like you're having a lot of fun. I hope so. Yeah, and then you get to study general relativity. Who doesn't love studying general relativity? You get to study quantum physics. Who doesn't love the quantum, right? You get to study mathematics. Who doesn't love mathematics? Oh, wait. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I got news for you, you guys. With AI, mathematics is as easy as falling off a log. I'm serious. The day of being ignorant of mathematics is over. You have no excuse now. Now we can learn everything about it and practice all we want, and AI will take you step by step. It's really stinking cool. It's awesome to finally understand what all of these physics formulas and chemistry formulas and mathematical proofs and why they are proofs, etc. Gödel's incompleteness theorem. Have you ever talked to AI about what the hell does that actually mean? I'm telling you, it is a thrill to be alive right now because you don't have to be ignorant of anything anymore. The one subject I really wish I would have studied more in school because I want to know so much more about that. It is entirely available with a teacher that is vastly superior to any teacher you could ever have in high school or college. And it's available at your fingertips anytime, day or night. And you can go as in depth as you want with it, man. There's nothing like it. I'm just saying. What a fantastic time to be alive, to learn, to share, to grow, to be excited about something. Come on, man. And they say, take time to smell the dandelions. Now you feel like you have time to be able to enjoy smelling the flowers and enjoying their beauty. Yeah, come on, that's cool. You have time to hike into the mountains and all. Why do you think everybody goes camping on the 4th of July weekend, right? Why do you think so few people are watching my live right now? Because they're still out there camping with the 4th of July weekend, of course. Yeah, why do you think everybody likes the mountains? Because that's where you spiritually connect. That's where you get in tune, man. It's phenomenal. Whew, holy cow, slow down, Carrie. Oh, come on, this is a great time. We are so blessed. We are so fortunate. Thank the heavens. Thank your guru. Thank whoever you feel like you need to be thankful to, but have gratitude. That is a key to happiness in life. I'm not trying to be a preacher. I promise I'm not preaching to you, but learn to be grateful and watch your life improve. There's your clue. I promise. Try it for next week and then tell me what happens. Try it this whole week. Be grateful. And sometimes let others know how grateful you are to them or to something or whatever, you know. So anyway, that's all I've got. I am done preaching to the rooftop. Thanks for all your support. I appreciate all of your energy, your excitement, your support, your fun. This is fun for me, in case you couldn't tell. I hope it's fun for you. I think it is fun for you. You guys keep coming back, and I so love reading all your comments and conversation and how well we all get along. And there's people who don't believe any of this. That's all good. You're welcome here. I don't want you to rant and rave and rage against each other. We can agree to disagree and be real men and women about it, because not everyone's going to agree. Not everyone has the same amount of knowledge. You guys are so much more knowledgeable than me. I'm astonished and grateful that you keep coming back to listen to me. That's amazing to me. It's close to miraculous because I'm the child here. But it's a lot of fun, you know. We're all at the circus together and we're looking at the different animals and we're taking rides on the crazy rides and we are having so much fun. We're going to come back and do it again, right? So I have some great information. Truly, I've got some great stuff that I'm looking into to share this week with videos. And next week on my Sunday Live, I have an overwhelming amount of stuff I'm going to try to share if I've got the energy and if I've got the time. So thank you. Hit the like and subscribe. Share the video with everybody that you can. Let everybody know that there's another very fun live session where the backyard professor rants and raves, and he got all jittery and excited and Twitter-pated and whatever you want to call me. It's all good to me. It doesn't matter. It's all good. We're alive. We're adventuring together. We're learning together. And I got news for you. It just doesn't get better than that among friends and family, does it? Yeah. Wouldn't change it for the world, man. See you later.